Let's dive right in. Modern pentathlon confirms obstacle racing will replace equestrian from 2024. Governing body makes landmark decision despite opposition. People hate using horses as a trick. I think that's why, right? Horses are being canceled. So now that's our in. Now we're in.
I went to talk to Modern Pentathlon years ago because it made so much sense that would be a good home for us. And they came out. You don't remember this, but it had to be 5 years ago. They came out to one of our races in Colorado. I spent 2 days with the whole Olympic contingent, and they came around and they looked at the whole sport, and it was an awesome 2 days. But then it didn't really go anywhere, and we just kept pushing and pushing. And I obviously worked with my buddy Ian Adamson, and I can't tell you how many trips to Switzerland and this and that. And I just thought, I guess it'll happen when it's supposed to happen. And then all these other sports were getting added over the years, and that was kind of frustrating. I was in Japan. I figured we could work some angles with Japan. I didn't get anywhere. France was coming up, and they wanted breakdancing and not obstacle racing. And here I was sitting. I'm literally like knife fighting these days, right? Let's go down a rabbit hole for a second.
Sure.
So back in 2010, when we started, 2009, 2010, with this brand, this concept, it was hard, right? Because you'd announce a race, and then you had to get people to go, and then you'd announce another race, and you had to get people to go, but you added like one race at a time, maybe two races. And so the good news was you had money coming in. It was very stressful, but you could kind of make it work. One race, add one. When the pandemic happened, I remember sitting in Heathrow Airport, and I was like, oh my God, the disaster is not going to be the dormancy period where we don't have anything going on. The disaster is going to be when we turn the light switch back on and we add 300 races at once, because that's going to require, literally $125 million at once. And so that I feel like one of the Spartan warriors 2,500 years ago in Thermopylae, when like 10,000 of the enemy come up over the hill. That's what I feel like right now. And so I'm sitting here in my bunker fighting that battle, and it comes across the tape, as we say, us old Wall Street guys, it comes across tape obstacle racing, the Olympics. I'm like,
so you didn't even know. You just saw it when I saw it, like with Google alerts this morning.
No one called me. Like, what the fuck? Are you kidding me? Like,
well, so your friend Ian posts a lot of stuff. He's a good PR guy. Hey, we did this, we did that, we did ninja, we did high. We're in the mountains now, but I've never seen like a regular, what you and I would refer to as an obstacle race, happen for them on a world scale. Obviously, the pandemic didn't happen, but he's had like 6-7 years, and they haven't produced much except for these other things, which don't matter to the average obstacle racer or our industry, I think. So I assume he saw it coming. I shot him an email today. What are you drinking, by the way?
This is chlorophyll. I'm trying to knock myself out.
What are you drinking?
It's literally chlorophyll.
It is not literally. Did you spend time with that dude, Rogan, and now you guys are swapping ivermectin recipes?
Well, I don't want to throw him under the bus because he's a pretty powerful guy, but he did send me this. Anyway, on Ian.
Are you going to grow branches now that you've drinking chlorophyll?
I might grow a branch. Who knows? It'd be a pretty rugged branch. Listen, I'm just excited. Like when I started that narrative, God, Matt, it's got to be 8, 9, 10 years ago when I started that narrative of we're going to be an Olympic sport. Like when you say something like that, like I'm going to marry that woman, or I'm going to have, you don't know that it's like you're putting it out in the universe, and it's part hope and part hard work or whatever. And we got to remember this moment. So I'm glad we're talking. We got to remember this moment, because I literally walked out I'm having a tough week, tough day, tough month. And I'm like, this is not how I thought it would happen.
Did you call me out before or after I texted you? Because I just saw that video.
2028 Olympics, it's looking like obstacle racing will be there. I don't know if they're going to replace modern pentathlon or not, but that's the news that just came across Reuters. God, this has been a long time coming. Matt Davis, I know you were saying this was impossible.
For the record, what I said when people ask me, I said, well, I think Joe used that as a big tentpole in the early years. But it was kind of like part of his shtick, like, hey, maybe we'll get in the Olympics one day. And I didn't think you were, quote unquote, like seriously. And then basically they were fits and starts. Like, again, you and I talk a lot off the record. Hey, Matt, we made this call. We tried this. We talked to the people with the lasers, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? So it wasn't that I thought it would never happen. I just didn't. 2028 seems soon. I put it to you that way. And again, let's not count our chickens just yet. They approved it. It's still got to go through whatever the hell an Olympic process is to make it for you and me to be standing there. By the way, it's LA, so you can bet your ass I will be there. First of all, I'm sure I will be hired for the amazing NBC broadcast team, but even if I'm not for some reason, I'll be there. You can bet your ass. It's LA. It's this country. I'll be there. So anyway, before we're standing there in LA and you and I are crying when they play the national anthem.
Here's a question for you. Do you think it had anything to do with, and I'm serious, because LA, the folks that are in charge of the LA Olympics are very plugged in individuals. This guy, Casey Wasserman. Do you think it had anything to do with that Venus and Serena Williams do a ton of Spartan races? Did it have anything to do with doing a Spartan? Did it have anything to do with the Kardashians having built an entire Spartan course? I'm not being facetious or silly. Like it became part of culture, right? And it had to be part of culture in LA for somebody to take notice.
Part of what I thought was stopping you was you were very concerned about confusing, and I think what some people think in general is confusing the brand with the sport, right? And I have said to you and publicly, I think Joe needs to focus that he's the industry leader, but he is not the industry. So we call it obstacle racing. We don't call it Spartan racing. And Spartan racing can't be in the Olympics. Obstacle racing has to be in the Olympics, right? So you've come around to that, right?
Very much like the Ironman model in triathlon.
Right, exactly. So now what happens if Ian and his World OCR are the ones that are making the inroads and getting all the, what do you call it? You have to have so many affiliations in so many countries. What are you doing? What's your affiliation?
Governing bodies.
Right. So where are you in all this?
I'm on one of the boards that was put together. I'd like to have a say in the actual layout of what the course looks like. I know the whole world will be in an uproar over burpees, but we'll solve that. I was so excited.
Not gonna happen. Come on, man. I'll be 58. You'll be 61 if you don't die of a heart attack first.
Oof, knock on wood. Hey, what are we gonna do? Like Hunter, obviously not. He doesn't have what it takes for this. I'm gonna feel bad. Like Isaiah would be able to pull it off. Isaiah, not Hunter though.
Joe, you need to listen to my show more. There's a lot of athletes that have come in the sport since Hunter and Isaiah. Hundreds, if not thousands.